guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have an exciting video for you where I want to talk about the brand Telfar. I wanted to start by talking about the quote that I threw up on the screen before it started, which is, "Luxury is a necessity that begins where necessity ends," and that is a quote from Coco Chanel. So I sort of wanted to put a disclaimer out there that the definition of luxury is different for everyone. You and I do not own the definition of luxury, nor do any single person have the authority to define what it is, because really a luxury depends on the person. What's a luxury to them? For some it might be travel, for some it might be cars, for my husband it is tools, to each their own, right? For me it is luxury fashion and handbags in particular. Now, what brands I consider luxury? Again, completely up for debate. The definition of luxury is open-ended, guys. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there as food for thought when we're diving into this brand. So there's kind of a lot to talk about, and I'm not sure whether or not this will fit into one video. I might split it into 2 or 3. So I definitely want to tell you more about the history of the brand, why it has become so popular in 2020, why I decided to spend my hard-earned money on this brand. I also have an unboxing for you. I have a small and a medium bag to show you. I also wanted to do a comparison for you, and I live recorded myself securing the bag so I could share some of those tips and tricks with you as well. So like I said, I don't know if this will fit into one video, but I want to start by going over the history of the brand Telfar and why it became so popular in 2020. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. I talk about handbags, shopping, luxury brands, even some hype trends, because I fall into the hype all the time. So if you are interested in that, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to upload at least 1 video a week for you guys, and I would love to have you be a part of my little community here. I read several different articles to put together the most decisive information for this video, and I will quote them and reference them as best as possible. I will also link them all down below in the description so that you can check them out and do a little research for yourself. But if you see me looking down, I'm just referencing my notes here. So from the website, Telfar is a unisex line established in 2005 in New York City by Telfar Clemens and sold internationally. His slogan is, "It's not for you, it's for everyone." So this is not a handbag brand, guys. It did not start as a handbag brand. It started as a clothing brand. Telfar Clemens is a fashion designer. This is his namesake brand, and it had been around for many years before the handbag actually came out, and even a few years before it became the it bag of 2020. As Paper Magazine eloquently put it in their article, the brand creates universal clothing that knows no gender, age, socioeconomic status, following count, or clout. So again, very inclusive. It's for everyone, really. Regular people, anybody that's into fashion or wants to be into fashion and may not be able to afford certain brands or certain luxuries.
The idea that you can't or can wear something and you need to be this to do that, I think like a lot of that's disappearing.
So Telfar Clemens was born in Queens, New York in 1985. He is a Liberian-American designer, and he is the founder of the brand Telfar. Telfar is a genderless fashion label that is all about inclusivity, and it's based in Bushwick, Brooklyn. He started his line in 2005 after graduating Pace University with a degree in accounting. Clemens met Babak Radboy in 2004, who later joined as creative director and business partner in 2013. However, it's not a business partner in the financial sense like you think of when you think of that word. Telfar Clemens is the 100% owner of his brand. So Telfar Clemens is openly queer. His brand has always stood for gender, financial, and racial equality and inclusivity, regardless of the fact that 2020 was this year of racial reckoning, as the New York Times put it. Telfar has basically been doing this for a while, guys. It's not a 2020 trend for him. This has always been what his brand has stood for since he started it back in 2005. So from Paper Magazine on how the bag came about, let me read a little bit here. The idea came right before Christmas in 2013 while Telfar was producing his fall 2014 collection. And this direct quote was, "Seeing everyone rushing around carrying a million paper shopping bags from all of their Christmas shopping, I looked at that as a look," he says. "It's a silhouette that is 100% unisex. It looks good on everyone. It's also affordable, so really anyone can get the look."
I've been really inspired by like the holiday season.
This article mentions that they measured a brown Macy's bag for size. I have heard both a Macy's bag and Bloomingdale's bag mentioned as the size comparison here. He also mentions in the article that he believes this bag has achieved genuine inclusivity with the quote, "I've seen straight skaters wearing this bag like it's a side bag. I've also seen moms wearing this bag like a diaper bag. And I've seen people sitting front row with it at like a fashion show," he says. "I love when a piece can work in literally any context." So that was sort of the goal of this bag for him. So then in 2017, Telfar won the Vogue CFDA Fashion Fund. This $400,000 prize allowed him to steadily produce the shopping bag in more colors and more sizes. So again, the bag came out in the fall 2014 collection, but then it sort of expanded and grew from there once he got the money from the Fashion Fund in 2017. So now I want to tell you a little bit more about how I first heard about this brand. I did not know about it since 2005. I did not know about it since 2017. I first heard about it in 2020, like most of us. Around January 2020, Gap announced the upcoming collaboration with Telfar. That's the earliest article I found, which was in Vogue. That announcement alluded to the fact that Gap and Telfar had been in talks for at least a year. So kudos to Gap for really seeing a potential collaboration in him even before he became the IT Designer of the Year in 2020. In this article, Telfar as a brand said that they were always inspired by Gap as a company that makes basics and regular clothes for regular people, because that's something Telfar had always strived to do with his own brand.
We want to be bigger than Walmart.
It mentioned in the article that putting their clothes and bags on everybody, literally everybody, was their ultimate goal. So as we know, the brand Telfar was always about anonymity, accessibility, and affordability, and that's really some of the codes of the Gap brand as well. Then, of course, a few months later in March 2020, you guys know what started happening in the world. And that led to the announcement of the postponement of the collaboration between Telfar and Gap. Telfar fans were disappointed in that news when it finally came out. But then the surprising thing was that 4 months later, 4 or 5 months, at the end of June, middle of July, Gap announced that they would be collaborating with Kanye West and his brand Yeezy in a collaboration of Yeezy for Gap. At that point, at the end of June then, it was announced that the Telfar collaboration was officially canceled.
You work on commission, right? Yes. Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
I think a lot of people, a lot of true fans of Telfar, were really upset by this news. And that's sort of when I first heard about it, is people talking about how this smaller designer kind of got pushed aside for this much bigger designer or well-known person, Kanye West, to come in and sort of got that deal swiped away from him. A lot of people were upset about it. It was in the press. A lot of people were going off on Twitter, and eventually it became like a trending topic on Twitter, which was just like the word Telfar. Therefore, a lot of people started Googling what is Telfar, who is Telfar, and finding out more information about it. So that's when I started doing a lot more research on the brand and what it was about, what they sold, and why it was so popular and had this sort of cult following. So there you go. That is when I first heard about the brand back in June, July of 2020. The bag itself was already popular and had a cult following. There's actually a article from The Cut from January 2020 that I will quote here. The Telfar bag had been spotted on artists like Solange Knowles, which Telfar had worked with in the past, Selena Gomez, A$AP Ferg, Sonia Morgan from The Real Housewives of New York modeled the bag for Paper Magazine editorial back in September of 2018. It also appeared at the Met Gala last May on Moonlight actor Ashton Sanders, who was accompanying Telfar Clemens, the bag's designer, to the gala. It had been seen on Bella Hadid, a lot of other celebrities. At that point, you can Google it and see all the people that have worn this bag. So it was already popular, but now that the Telfar name was trending, it was becoming even more popular, and I think a lot of people wanted to support the designer at the time. The bag itself is called the shopping bag. It comes in 3 sizes: small for $150, medium for $202, and large for $257. The bags are not made of real leather, they are made of vegan leather, and there are currently 20 color variations on the site. However, they are all sold out. To quote Paper Magazine again, "It's probably the most basic bag you can imagine," Clemens says, "but somehow there's no other bag like it." He also has his logo right on the front, which is a T and a C, and that logo was created actually by a school teacher who made monograms for all of her students, and that monogram for Telfar Clemens eventually became the logo that he used for his brand. The Telfar shopping bag has been called an it bag and the decade's most important accessory by major fashion publications. It is also known as the Bushwick Birkin due to its combination of it bag status and accessibility.
It can still be it and everybody can have it.
It's kind of funny, you guys, because when you think about a Birkin, you know, one of the things people love about Birkins is all the different colors that it comes in, and you choose your favorite color, and that's how you start your collection, and then people buy, you know, who can afford it, 10s and 20 Birkins of all different colors, all their favorite colors. Very similar to the Bushwick Birkin here, the Telfar shopping bag, because there's all these really cute colors, and he's giving people the accessibility, the affordability to be able to buy and collect multiple colors of their liking. So it's similar in that sense. According to Lyst, the global search platform, the bag was the 3rd most wanted item of the year, and searches for the brand have grown 270% week on week since August. So it just skyrocketed in terms of people searching this brand, wanting to find out more about it. Mr. Clemens, 35, won a Council of Fashion Designers of America award for Best Accessories Designer, a Cooper Hewitt National Design Award for Fashion Design, and was also named the GQ Designer of the Year this year. He received a PETA Award for Most Wanted Handbags, even though he is a meat eater and said he just loves plastic bags. That's all from the New York Times article, I'll link below. And then in November 2020, Oprah Winfrey included the Telfar shopping bag as one of her favorite things for the holiday season on her list that everybody loves to shop from.
It's like a status bag, where status has nothing to do with how much money you make.
From the Cut article, the shopping bag has taken off because it treats people like Clemens was at 19. People who love fashion but feel shut out of an industry that's often reserved for the white and the rich as the target customer. That's why the pricing is so affordable, but it's about more than that. The brand makes a point of reposting customer selfies on its Instagram stories to bring visibility to its community of fans. So it really goes back to that inclusivity of the brand, the "it's not for you, it's for everyone" message. He's always wanted to make his label about inclusivity. So when the bag first came out, it was available in much smaller quantities because the brand was not as big or as well known as it is today. When the sort of Twitter storm happened in the summer in terms of Telfar sort of slightly getting snubbed, I guess, in terms of Yeezy then getting that Gap deal and the Telfar deal sort of falling apart, I think people really wanted to then support his brand. This was also obviously a time period where people also want to support Black businesses, and the bags were already hard to get on the site, but when that day that he was trending on Twitter, I sort of saw them slowly just all get sold out. I think obviously coming from a background in fashion myself, you plan your production for the quantities that you're gonna bring in at what time period much further in advance. So at this point, he already had his buys done for the quantities of bags he was going to bring in for the year and when he was gonna launch them, and he could just not keep up with the demand. So he was getting a lot of comments on his Instagram, on Twitter from people that are like, if it's about inclusivity, why can't we buy the bag? We want to buy the bag, like please let us buy the bag. And I think it wasn't that he didn't want to sell to everyone, he just already had his quantities booked. He already knew what was coming. He didn't have enough to supply for the amount of people that wanted them. That is where the bag security program came into play. So in August 2020, he launched the bag security program. This was a one-day only online event that would allow anybody who wanted one to pre-order a bag, and it would have guaranteed delivery before the holidays. I believe he actually said in guaranteed before January, but I think what he did was he didn't want to say you will for sure get this before Christmas, because then if you didn't, he would get a shit ton of complaints about it. So he said January, I think, in hopes to delight customers by actually delivering sooner. So that is very clear, 5-month lead time for the bags, which is very typical. 4 to 6 months, especially with what's been going on in the world and manufacturing being a little slower. 5-month lead time is actually pretty quick. So he put it out there, 24 hours only. Whoever wants to buy a bag, order the bag and we will get it to you. A lot of people were confused by this. I think a lot of people don't fully understand how long it takes to manufacture and get this kinds of quantity, especially producing it from China, depending on if he was importing it by boat or by plane. That all adds into the manufacturing time. So people were like, why do I have to wait 6 months for this bag? And that is a very typical time frame. This is how I was able to secure my bag. I went on the site, I decided what color was my favorite. That's the bag I selected. I also wanted to see how long it actually took and if they delivered on their promise, and boy, did they. And this video is getting long, so I'm definitely gonna do a part 2 where I will unbox the bag, what I bought, and tell you all about that transaction. But as a collector of handbags and fashion in general, I felt that it was very important to own this piece in my collection. It's not just about supporting Black businesses. You know, you should be shopping Black businesses consistently, but it is about the genuine inclusivity of this brand. And I do believe that it deserves your support, but not to mention, it's also just a bag that I think will go down in fashion history for a plethora of reasons. I, as a collector, think about my collection in a very unique way, probably, and I will do a whole separate video about how I started collecting and buying bags and, you know, what they mean to me. But to give you a brief understanding, the way that I think about fashion, and I guess the things that I hoard, to be honest, is that they tell a story, they speak to memories in my life. I feel like one day there could be a museum of all of my artifacts of things, and I could tell you little things about each of them and where I was in my life or what was going on in the fashion industry for those points of time. And that is sort of how I think of it. You know, perfume scents give me memories. You know, when I smell a perfume that I wore when I was younger, it takes me back to where I was at that time. When I hear certain songs or certain albums, it takes me back to the memories of that time. And when I see certain bags or I see certain fashion items, they take me back to memories in that time. And I actually have a very bad memory, so I love having those sorts of things that allow me to maybe tell stories to my children in the future, or my children's children, my nieces and nephews, whoever I pass down my collection to. When I started, I would buy 1 bag a year. That's what I could afford. And it would either be a mix of the it bag or just a moment in fashion history and my favorite bag during that time. So for me, not to own this bag, to be representing this time in history, this piece of my collection, it would just be a huge miss. So I'm super excited that I was able to get my hands on this bag. I've also obviously learned a lot about the brand over the past few months, and I've got a lot of tips and tricks for you as well on how to get the bag itself. So I think if you are a handbag collector like myself, you should definitely own this bag. It's not just about supporting Black businesses and shopping Black businesses, but it is about, I think, a critical time in fashion history and sort of hopefully the start of what's to come, a lot of change in the fashion industry. This bag is really one of the, you know, focal points or the start of that change. And even though Telfar has been around since 2005 and has been very popular in New York, etc., now it is going to be a true global brand. People are chomping at the bit to work with Telfar, and he's actually saying, you know, I don't necessarily want to work with everyone. You guys weren't interested in working with me before. Why should I be interested in working with you now? And he's going to be doing, I think, a bunch of exciting things on his own. And any collaboration he does do, I think will be very thought out. Yeah, so I think Telfar is a super interesting brand. It's super important to me that I owned this bag, and I will show you the bags in an unboxing in my next video. If I missed anything, please feel free to comment down below. I love sharing information with my fellow handbag lovers, so I would love to continue this discussion in the comment section. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see my unboxing, my comparison on the small versus medium bag, and then how to cop a bag yourself. I've got a bunch of great content around that coming up, so go ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications for my upcoming videos, and I'll be back with more exciting information about Telfar.